Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video tonight I am going to be giving you a bit more additional information regarding Paul Pogba, like I've been doing on a regular basis. There is also lots of other things to talk about, but I will delve into them topics a bit later on in the video. So we'll start with Paul Pogba. So it is very imminent that Paul Pogba is going to be leaving Manchester United in the summer. He's either going to be going to Real Madrid or Juventus, but I'm not sure, which one he will currently go to. But, Real Madrid and Juventus will definitely, go in for Paul Pogba in the summer. Now, as I did update you on my last video today, obviously, Paul Pogba has been left out of our warm weather training camp in Spain. The main explanation for this is to continue his rehabilitation from his current ankle injury. So due to injury, he obviously hasn't gone on the warm weather training camp. Obviously, the signings that Solskjaer recommended in January have obviously gone on the warm weather training camp. So Bruno Fernandes obviously has gone. Also to Odion Ighalo has gone. But, Paul Pogba now is currently into his fourth season as a Manchester United player since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. And analysing the vast majority of his performances at Man United, they've been very, very poor. They've been totally comparison to his performances in Turin, with Juventus, because I thought Paul Pogba did endure 4 good years in Turin, and maybe, Paul Pogba's preference in the summer will be to make a return to Turin. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, Real Madrid were relentlessly, linked with Paul Pogba, and Paul Pogba did say he actually, wanted to join Real Madrid last summer because his preference was a move to Real Madrid last summer. Of course, we said we wanted around £180 million. Real Madrid were not reluctant to pay that. So reflecting on, the substantial amount we put on him, that was a stumbling block of Paul Pogba making his move to Real Madrid. But, Paul Pogba still wants to leave Manchester United. He told our teammates not too long ago. So he's got the same perception now as what he had at the beginning of last summer. Because at the beginning of last summer, Paul Pogba did reveal that he wanted to leave Manchester United because he did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and he publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the football club. Now, Paul Pogba, his appearances have been limited now anywhere this season, due to injuries he's had. I think he's only played around 8 games this season. Don't forget Paul Pogba's heading into the final year of his contract with Manchester United. We do have an option to extend his contract by a further year. But, Paul Pogba is still regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world, definitely. He is only at the age of 26. He's still in his prime. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him and that. But I do believe he's going to be going in the summer. Now, the Daily Mail, I don't really, think Daily Mail's a reliable source, but they reportedly said that, we've slashed £30 million off Paul Pogba's valuation. So reportedly now we would want around £150 million this summer for Paul Pogba and that. And, Man United fans, will have different perceptions on it. Some United fans would like him to stay, and some United fans would like Paul Pogba to go. Because you can say that, obviously, Bruno Fernandes is the adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. But I think Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in our midfield would both make a fantastic partnership, and that's my own perception, basically. But, when Paul Pogba does return anywhere, and when Scott McTominay does return, we will look much better in that current midfield and that. So yeah, that's the latest news regarding Pogba. It wasn't only in the January transfer window. It wasn't only last summer. He was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Obviously, back under the Jose Mourinho era, Paul Pogba was subjected to transfer speculation. Obviously, reflecting on his poor relationship he endured with Jose Mourinho. Obviously, we had Paul Pogba when he was a lot younger, so we actually made a bad decision getting rid of him when he was a lot younger. When we had him under Alex Ferguson, we got him from Lee Harvey. Obviously, he had made a couple of appearances for us, but obviously due to his appearances being limited, we let him go on a free transfer to Juventus. Don't forget as well, Paul Pogba is our most expensive signing. We paid £89 million for him, so he is our most expensive signing. But yeah, he will be going in the summer, and I think I expect to see more departures in the summer than just Paul Pogba. I think another 4 or 5 players could go in the summer, but a lot of players anyway have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Of course, we saw Ashley Young go this year. He went to Inter Milan for 1.5 million after he endured 8.5 years at Manchester United. Obviously, Inter Milan they got three players off of us. They got Young, Romelu Lukaku, and Alexis Sanchez. Of course, we saw Rojo go out on loan to Estudiantes. But yeah, so I expect to see more departures in the summer. Scott McTominay, like I mentioned, he's also, recovering from injury because McTominay has had a knee injury. Now, Scott McTominay is one of the players I would be determined to keep at Manchester United because I think, he did really, really well before he got injured. He still hasn't emulated that level as yet, but I would be determined to give McTominay more time at the football club and that. But I think he's close to returning because I think recently McTominay has been back in training. But I think the game against Chelsea after the winter break, could be too soon for Paul Pogba and McTominay. But even if at least one of them are fit, that's a massive boost, definitely. But Solskjaer said, the winter break is a useful period for us anywhere. It's a useful period for our new incomings. So this is what, Solskjaer said. Because we have played a lot of games. How many games have we played? Like 21 games in 69 days. That is quite a lot. So it has been a busy period for Manchester United. So revert back to what I said, so McTominay is one of the players I will be determined to keep. Obviously, Rashford's not going to be available for Chelsea. He's going to be out for at least the next couple of months, is Marcus Rashford. He's sustained a double fracture in his back. And you can say, obviously, Rashford's been one of our best players this season. But we have got that cover up to Marcus Rashford because we have got Odion Ighalo in. I do presume he's going to be making his debut against Chelsea. Odion Ighalo. As you all know, we have got Odion Ighalo in until the end of the season, when we've got him on loan until the end of the season. He gave his overarching view on his move to Man United, and he said, it's a dream come true. He's a lifelong Manchester United supporter anywhere. And I think he's another attacking option, like Solskjaer was saying. And obviously he took a pay cut to come in. He didn't hesitate taking this pay cut. We're paying a third of his wages. We're paying around £100,000 of his wages. And like I mentioned, we've paid around 3 or 4 million to get Odion Ighalo in on loan. And obviously now he's fighting for Anthony Martial's role. So I think what the club should do is put him in the number 9, Odion Ighalo, because I think he's an out-and-out number 9 anywhere. And I'd either drop Martial completely or I would put him back onto the left-hand side because that's Martial's predominant position anywhere. And then maybe he can rejuvenate himself if he goes back out on the left. But Martial's been at Man United now for 4 years. He's now into his 5th season at the club, is here. And obviously analysing the vast majority of his tenure with Man United, he has been operating on that left anyway. It's only been this season where Martial's been playing in that number 9 role. And he got that number 9 role because of how good he did throughout pre-season. He was good early on this season. I know he's had a few injuries this season, but I think recently Martial is becoming a bit of a liability. I can't really say if I would sell him as yet, Obviously, I need to analyse more of his performances, and if his bad run of form continues to persist, then I think the club should consider getting rid of Anthony Martial. But he is only the age of 24. He's received a lot of criticism recently. Shearer criticised him. Ian Wright, said, he should be dropped and that. But I would put Odion Ighalo in that number 9. Definitely, I would do that, without a shadow of a doubt. And Bruno Fernandes, he's going to be making his second Premier League appearance for Man United against Chelsea. I think Bruno Fernandes is going to become a success at the football club. So I think at Manchester United he's going to replicate what he did in his 2.5 years at Sporting Lisbon. Because in his 2.5 years at Sporting Lisbon, he scored 64 goals in 137 appearances in all competitions. And, I thought he did well on his debut against Wolves, to be fair. He's predominantly an attacking midfielder, is Bruno Fernandes. The only element of concern, like I mentioned on my recent videos, is the usage of the player. Is Solskjaer going to keep in his predominant position, or is he going to rotate him to a holding midfielder, just like he did against Wolves? And the interchanging was definitely very, very poor in the first half in the game against Wolves. So Bruno Fernandes needs to stay in his predominant position. He is our 4th most expensive signing. Of course, we paid 68 million for him, with add-ons included. We paid around 46 million pounds up front, with a further 20 odd million in add-ons. And obviously, he's got a 5.5 year deal with the club, with an option of a further year, so it's 6.5 year deal and that. So I think he's going to do really, really well for Manchester United, is Bruno Fernandes. But that game against Chelsea is a must-win game for us. It is a must-win game. because that game, like I mentioned yesterday, that game could decide who finishes in the top four. Obviously, at the moment, we sit 6 points behind Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea win, we're 9 points behind, and then I'm going to fully then disregard us getting the top four. We win the game, we only go 3 points behind Chelsea. So I think it could, decide who finishes in the top four. But we've had so many opportunities anywhere to get into that top four this season, and we've blown it because we've dropped so many points, and there's a lot of games this season that Manchester United should have won. But Chelsea have been so inconsistent, so that's what's keeping Manchester United in the top four. Obviously, the preview for the Chelsea game will be coming up, I think, on the 15th of February. Also, I'll be giving you my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference, when obviously, he does it in that building up to the game. So join me, obviously, for the preview on the 15th of this month. We have got Club Brugge coming up in the Europa League as well. Previews are going to be coming up on this current channel. In terms of the transfers, Manchester United definitely need to make more signings in the summer, so we don't only need to see more outgoings, we also need to see more incomings. Solskjaer's obviously recommended 5 new players in. At Manchester United in 3 transfer windows, he's recommended 5 new players in and that. And I admire him, for the players he has brought in. But, we still know that's not enough, and we have got quite a few players who we could go in for in the summer. Obviously, Jack Grealish, he's one. James Maddison was our preference, but as you all know, James Maddison is close to signing a new contract with Leicester, so it's looking unlikely we're going to get James Maddison. Obviously, Jadon Sancho. I think we're also going to go in for him in the summer. But them type of calibre players are going to improve our squad massively. So if we could get Jack Grealish or Jadon Sancho in the summer, or even both of them, I would be very delighted. Because there's still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed. And I'm happy that we have addressed some of the deficiencies in the squad. Obviously, last summer we got that centre-half in that we needed through Maguire. We got that right back in for Wan-Bissaka. In January, we got that midfielder in that we wanted with Bruno Fernandes. We got that striker in that we wanted for Wadi Nagalo. But I still feel as though that Man United need a holding midfielder. We possibly need a right winger. Maybe we need a left back. Obviously, I know Brandon Williams has done really, really well at left back, but it's his first season in the senior squad, but he's still inexperienced at the moment. Luke Shaw's experienced, but he's struggling for consistency. He's sustained a lot of injuries as a Manchester United player. So, yeah, definitely there's still more signings needed at the football club and that. And maybe Solskjaer's going to get a spending spree of around £250 million to spend in the summer on recruiting new players in. I know we've been inconsistent for the last 6 or 7 years. We've been so inconsistent for the last 6 or 7 years. But I still believe, despite that we have the resources in the backing of the club to get the, right calibre players to Manchester United, because we are still one of the biggest clubs in the world with a fantastic history. So bear that in mind. I give you the news, didn't I, regarding Lionel Messi earlier on. I think this is, the vast majority of these stories that are coming out regarding Lionel Messi, I think, the media are justifying their existence on this particular story. Obviously, it's true that Lionel Messi had a dispute with Barcelona sporting director Eric Abidal. Obviously, as well, he had a dispute with Marc-Andre ter Stegen. He had a training ground dispute with him. But I don't see him leaving Barcelona in the summer. And obviously, he's available for free in the summer because there's a clause in his contract that makes him available for free in the summer. Obviously, there's up to 6 clubs that are in for Lionel Messi, and that's us. Manchester City. There's been speculation of him reuniting with Pep Guardiola, and I think if Messi was to come back to the Premier League, if Messi was to come to the Premier League, he would go to Manchester City more than likely. Inter Milan have been in for him, Real Madrid, PSG, Juventus. Obviously, there's a chance he could go play alongside Cristiano Ronaldo. If he's to join Juventus, Lionel Messi. He has actually got 18 months left on his current contract. Up until this point, Lionel Messi has spent the entirety of his career with Barcelona. And, obviously, he's been at Barcelona now a good, 17 years or something like that. Now he's been at Barcelona. Obviously, made his senior debut in 2003 for them, progressing up their youth system. And, Messi has gone on, to he's gone on to score 433 La Liga goals in 469 La Liga appearances. So he holds the most record for the most La Liga goals. I think he has made over 600 odd appearances in all competitions, has scored over 600 goals for Barcelona in all competitions. I think for club and country, he's scored over 700 senior goals. He isn't playing for Argentina now, but I think he's now the leading goal scorer for Argentina, or he's a joint top goal scorer for Argentina. So, he did represent his country well. He also represents Barcelona well, despite the fact that he is 32 years of age. Lionel Messi's won 34 trophies in total with Barcelona. He's won the Ballon d'Or 6 times. He's also provided, I think, the most assists in La Liga, 177 assists. And he's also got around 35 La Liga hat-tricks as Lionel Messi. So obviously teams are going to go in for him when he's going to be available for free this summer. I think his actual release clause, though, is a good £500 million. I think a couple of years ago, was it around 629 million, his release clause. But I don't see Messi, coming to the Premier League. I just don't see him, leaving, because he's been at Barcelona for absolutely years. And I just think, he will remain loyal to them. But, he's had this dispute and that. Obviously, Eric Abidal, he says, the players weren't satisfied, under Ernesto Valverde, who was recently, sacked by Barcelona. But I don't see Lionel Messi coming to Manchester United, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But I don't see him leaving Barcelona whatsoever. I may be wrong, but I do not see that happening. I do not see that happening at all. I've already said to you, I think the players that need to leave Manchester United, I think we need to get rid. I think we need to get rid of Phil Jones. He's one of the problematic players at the club. Phil Jones has endured 9 years at Manchester United. Well, 8 years, but he's now into his 9th season at the club. And he does maybe get he gets some chances in like the cup games and that, but his appearances in the Premier League are limited because obviously, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are our first choice centre halves. To be fair, you could possibly say that the likes of Jones, Bain, Fosu-Mensah are good backups to them, but I've got a lot of element of concerns about Phil Jones. I'm surprised we didn't get rid of Jones last summer. We should have actually, kept Smalling and got rid of Phil Jones instead, because comparing them, I think Smalling's better than Phil Jones. Matic, he didn't play against Wolves. He had a good game against Man City, to be fair. He did get sent off, unfortunately, but I think he's too slow and he's too easily predictable in that midfield. Obviously, he'll probably go in this summer, obviously, when his current contract expires, unless Man United, extend his contract. Like I said, Lingard's becoming a liability. Well, he is a liability, should I say. He didn't score 1 goal last year for Man United, or register 1 single assist. I don't think he's scored in the league since December 2018. So that just indicates how inconsistent he's been. Jesse Lingard has been here for several years. Up until this point, he spent the entirety of his career with Man United. Obviously, he's had some loan spells and that. And he's 27 years of age now, is Jesse Lingard, and he's highly experienced, so he should be performing to the standards as we should expect from him. It reported out the other day saying that Atletico Madrid and Roma were in for Jesse Lingard. Whether he plays in number 10, which is his predominant position, I think, whether he plays out right or on the right, you just can't seem to get the best out of Jesse Lingard, and a lot of our fans have been criticising him. 18 months left on his current contract with an option to extend it by a further year. Solskjaer still maybe believes that he can get back to his best form. I don't see it at the moment, and I think Lingard's still keen on staying with Manchester United. Andres Pereira's becoming a liability. I think we've overplayed him this season. He's played in far too many games. I think it's mainly due to the injury to Scott McTominay. That's why Andres Pereira's been playing a lot of games. I've got Chong. I think he also needs to go. I think he's leaving in the summer. I think the last time I read the reports about Chong, he was linked with Juventus and Inter Milan. So I think he needs to be moved on. Luke Shaw, he possibly, will go as well. But, that on the other hand, like I mentioned, there's still players I would be determined to keep. I'd keep James. And, James, I know he hasn't been so good in the last month or so, but I think prior to that he's done really, really well. I'd keep Rashford. I'd keep Bissaka because I think he's been fantastic for us. I think he's one of the best right backs in the Premier League. He doesn't show much in terms of an attacking intent, but on the other hand, his defensive abilities are good. His distribution's very, very good. So I've been very impressed with Wan-Bissaka, to be honest with you. I have. Harry Maguire's done well for us. I know we overpaid for him. We paid, £80 million for him, but I still think Harry Maguire's done really, really well for Man United. Obviously now, I think the club made the right decision by giving him the captaincy on a permanent basis. We give him the captaincy reflecting on Ashley Young's departure, but I think he's done really, really well. So I'd keep Maguire. I'd keep McTominay. I'd keep Fred, because I think Fred's recently rejuvenated himself. So these two players I would keep here. Obviously there's young players here as well that are developing and trying to improve. And I think there's a lot of the young players will become a success at Manchester United. I think Mason Greenwood will do well. Brandon Williams will do well. Tuanzebe, he's been out injured for a while, but I think when he comes back, when he gets given his chances, he'll do well. Diego Dalot, he's just recently come back from injury. He needs more time, Diego Dalot, because he hasn't really had his chances at Man United since he arrived from Porto back in the summer of 2018. So yeah, there is a lot of there's quite a few young players that are in their first season in the senior squad. Williams is in his first season in the senior squad. Greenwood's in his first season in the senior squad. Greenwood's on 10 senior goals in 20-odd first-team appearances. I think James Garner's in his first season in the senior squad. So there's Fu Chong, he's in his first season in the senior squad. So yeah. So a lot of the young players do, are entitled to, get more time and that. But, I can assure that Greenwood's going to do really, really well. And I think Greenwood needs to get more starts in the Premier League, and Solskjaer isn't giving him enough starts. So that's definitely nowhere my element of concern. But if he gets more starts in the Premier League, then I will be extremely happy. Obviously, Bay and Fosu-Mensah have just recently come back from injury. So I don't know when they're going to play, because they haven't played since they've come back from injury. Bay was recently playing for the under-23s, and so too was Fosu-Mensah. But to be fair, players are now coming back from injury. But we've had a lot of injuries this season, but that's not excusable for how, inconsistent Manchester United have been. And obviously, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. So this is the worst we've ever been to this point in the Premier League era ever. And since Solskjaer got the job permanently, he has lost more games in the Premier League than he's won. I think he's managed 33 games, or is it 32 in the league, since he got the job permanently. So his record is disastrous in that. And, Solskjaer's been here now over the year. He's been here for nearly 14 months in total, including the 3 months when he was the interim manager. As permanent manager, he's been here almost 11 months. And analysing it analysed it since he got the job permanently, we have been mainly inconsistent in that. He did really, really well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager, did Solskjaer, but that's, At that point, though, my perceptions were different regarding Solskjaer, because I felt as though then he was the right man to elevate Manchester United forward, was, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Because he did so well as interim manager as well, but, the club made a mistake, and we've had a lot of mistakes over the years, and that's one of the main explanations why we've been so inconsistent. Maybe there's certain players we should have kept who we got rid of. We've probably, we've also overpaid for players. That's also a mistake. We shouldn't have given Solskjaer the job. Ferguson made a mistake. The only mistake he made was recommending David Moyes in. Obviously. So we have made a lot of mistakes, definitely, in that. And, but we shouldn't have given Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis. He's got 2.5 years left on his deal. I can't see Solskjaer seeing out the remainder of his 2.5 years unless, we can dramatically improve. But my element of concerns about Solskjaer is that, he's tactically naive. He's been tactically naive for the vast majority of this season. He doesn't have a plan A, doesn't have a plan B, he doesn't know how to really change a game and that. He's too inexperienced as a manager. My perceptions of comparison as a player, because I thought as a player he was phenomenal, but as a manager, he just hasn't got it as a manager, Solskjaer. And I hate to say that, and I think Solskjaer realises himself he's not good enough. But obviously he isn't going to resign, because then he isn't going to get a payoff if he resigns. We have to pay, I think, around £5 million if the club do decide to sack Solskjaer, and that, we'd have to pay him around £5 million. But, like I said, there's cultural problems at the club anywhere. And we need someone to come in to change the culture of the club. We need a change of management. We need a new board. We need a new executive. We need new ownership. Because a lot of our fans have got doubts about, the executive and the club's ownership and everything else. So there's a lot of problems with the backroom staff and the management, like I've just mentioned. There's also problems on the pitch. But there's these problems have persistently been going on since Alex Ferguson's retirement. Because we've obviously, Man United are not known for the sacking football club, despite the fact that we've sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. Of course, we sacked, David Moyes after 10 months. We sacked Van Gaal after like a year or so, despite the fact we won the FA Cup. We sacked Jose Mourinho after he enjoyed a 2.5-year tenure at the club and that. So I understand from where we're coming from, we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers, and always sacking managers persistently isn't always the right solution, because not all of the blame stems from the manager, don't forget. But what I've just said about Solskjaer, I've got the same perception on Carrick. Good player, too inexperienced as a coach. Kieran McKenna, too inexperienced, as you all know. We just need a new manager in whose philosophy would be the right for the club. Perhaps a manager with a proven pedigree, a manager to the top level, a manager that's proven in the Premier League. Prime example, Mauricio Pochettino. If Solskjaer does get sacked, then more than likely Pochettino will be our next manager anywhere, providing that, he doesn't get another job before the end of the season, basically. So look at that on the other hand. Just look at on the current other hand and that. But he's still in the process of rebuilding this Man United team. Solskjaer, like I said, he's brought 5 players in 3 transfer windows. Solskjaer believes he can emulate into next Jurgen Klopp if he's given the right amount of time. The only reason he's here now is Solskjaer is because he's a club legend, and in that aspect I like board have softened their stance. If he hadn't been a club legend, then I think he probably would have been gone by now, would Solskjaer. We've got ambitions this season. One of those ambitions is finishing the top 4, get some silverware on the board. We can win the FA Cup because we're into the 5th round against Derby. Wayne Rooney's reuniting with Man United. Obviously, we can win the Europa League because we're in the knockout stages, and plus it's another route to Champions League football. So we have got quite a few ambitions this season, but we are just not. We haven't replicated our history in the last 6 or 7 years in that, because we was fantastic under Ferguson, but I don't think Solskjaer will invoke Ferguson's legacy at the club, or no other manager will at Manchester United, and that's just how it is. Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years though, don't forget, but look what he went and accomplished after not winning out in his first 4 years. He was absolutely fantastic. His influence as a manager on the game was just sensational. And he's one of the greatest managers of all time, is Alex Ferguson. And, I know Solskjaer, got transformed into a winner by Ferguson, but he isn't good enough as a manager, and that's something we've got to accept and that. But, we're not going to win the league for several years. I don't think we're going to win it at least for the next couple of years. We've gone 7 years now without winning it. I think in the next couple of seasons, our aspirations will be that top 4, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. So yeah, that's everything to update you today, guys. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.